Joining us now to discuss all of this further is Miri, who's a retired colonel of the IDF and currently a senior fellow at the International Institute for Counterterrorism. Miri, it's good to see you again. It's been a while. So assuming this reporting is accurate, initially reported by the Washington Post that Israel has agreed to limit its strikes to military targets within Iran, is that a decision that you would support? There are others in Israel, most notably former Prime Minister Bennett, who had been arguing for a direct strike that now was a perfect opportunity, and in his words, to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. What is your take?
When I look at Iran right now, I'm mainly looking at the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC. They're the ones who run it. You said before military targets, but let's be clear. In Iran, there's the Iranian military, which has no impact whatsoever, and there's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. And the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is designated both by the United States, by the EU, by the entire free world, I would say, as a terror organization. So that immediately gives you lots of targets that are, I don't want to say, it's like good targets. They're the ones who supply the weapons to all the different proxies. They are the main instigator and destabilizer. And that gives you a whole list there that's not the nuclear sites, it's not the oil arena, and it's specifically targeting those who are destabilizing the Middle East and the world.
Right, so if we're ruling out the oil production sites, the uranium enrichment sites, do you anticipate that what Israel does end up targeting will still be significant enough for the sort of tit-for-tat cycle of war back and forth between Iran and Israel to continue for the foreseeable future?
I love the question because my challenge is that I don't want this to be a tit for tat. I think that what the Islamic regime of Iran is doing is against the world, not against Israel, and the world should be standing there. So in that sense, in the importance of there not being a world war, and that none of us, I haven't wanted to be in a war for the last year and a week at all, I think that it's important that you can do things against the Islamic regime of Iran that they'll know, but you don't have to do something overt in the face, but rather to take it a step where everything calms down. But even when I say it calms down, I'm in a war. This war was imposed upon us on October 7th, 2023. We're still in it. And it's not just about Iran joining in. They've been in from the beginning. So it can't be that they get away with this, that they're the instigator, the supplier, the ideology. And on the other hand, none of us want to see something even worse than what we're already in.
So you're saying, in other words, the ultimate goal is once again reestablishing deterrence for Israel at this point. Miri, I do want to ask, given this reporting coming on the heels of the THAAD system being sent to Israel now, do you think that the two are related, and perhaps this battery system, one of the most powerful in the world, being contingent upon Israel agreeing to avoid striking nuclear and oil facilities?
I think it goes hand in hand with a lot of different U.S. troops in CENTCOM being sent to this area, carriers and otherwise. And again, it's not about Iran against Israel, let alone Israel against Iran. It's about the Islamic regime of Iran against everybody. And in that sense, I do think that bringing in these systems, it's not a question of calming me down. It's of the world being together against this threat. I think that makes a huge point. And I'll just say that in Israel right now, in that sense, I feel like I have to remind us all, we're fighting against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. There are 101 hostages there. We're fighting against Hezbollah in Lebanon and other places. And Iran is the one standing behind all of those. And it's a good thing when Iran feels that they're not the ones who are pulling the strings and making the Middle East in the way that they'd like to see it.
And Miri, some people would also say that the THAAD system arriving in Israel with the 100 U.S. service members is essentially a preparation as well for the worst case scenario. This idea that once Israel strikes Iran, that there's going to be a huge response by Iran back to Israel. Just explain to us if that's the case. I mean, what does de-escalation look like at this point?
Iran was preparing Hezbollah as the main way to respond to Israel if Israel would ever attack either the nuclear sites or anything inside Iran. And Israel has been systematically and very, very clearly, I think we all have noticed for the last 3 weeks, degrading Hezbollah's capabilities. Hezbollah doesn't stand alone. all of this incredible, not as a good thing, enormous weapon caches, arsenals that we are uncovering and destroying inside Lebanon are part of Iran's system to protect themselves. So we're looking both at Iranian direct capabilities, but also the use of their proxies. And in that sense, I think that what we would see is Hezbollah trying to do even more. I don't think Hezbollah has been holding back because we've been degrading their capabilities, but I do think that Iran wants Hezbollah to hold back so that if Iran is attacked, Hezbollah can attack directly, because at the end, they're right on the border. They're in Lebanon, and what we're uncovering right now in the kilometer 2 that Israel is acting inside Lebanon is an unfathomable arsenal. It's incomprehensible to me as an Israeli that that was right on the other side of the border. Yeah. And that was part of Iran's response done by Hezbollah.
Can you speak more to that very point, the huge arsenal that Israel and the IDF, I know they've taken some of our reporters along with them to show them the arsenal that they have found, including CNN. Can you speak more to what has been reported as a plan by Hezbollah, perhaps to attack Israel from the north at an even larger scale than what we saw from Hamas on October 7th?
So thank you in that sense, because here we are a year and a week after the Hamas attack of October 7th, and we had a colossal failure. But part of the reason, not the only one, for that colossal failure is because Israel was looking at Hezbollah. And what we have been uncovering inside Lebanon, right across the border in the last 3 weeks, are Hezbollah's preparations for an October 7th type attack. That includes vehicles, jeeps, motorcycles, pickup trucks. That includes an enormous system of endless system of subterranean tunnels underneath their own arena for their protection, but also going towards Israel. And it includes an amount of weapons that's hard to comprehend when you see the amount of, I don't want to use the military terms, but the amount of missiles, rockets, mortars, different types of different capabilities, MLRSs, the multi-launchers, all of these right along the border, paragliders, everything you can think that you saw on October 7th, a year and a week ago, by Hamas, Hezbollah had way more right at the border.
It's frightening to even imagine.
One quick question for you, Miri, before I let you go. Just as a retired colonel of the IDF, just the fact that we saw Hezbollah send in drones to Israel over the weekend and it essentially attacked an army base. It wasn't intercepted, it wasn't detected, there were no air raid sirens that went off. What do you make of that? Speaking of another sort of colossal failure.
That's not a colossal failure. That's called statistics. Consistently, Israel has intercepted in the missiles and rockets, just to give you an idea, over 13,000 have been fired by Hezbollah in the last year. I sat down and did math that's more than 50 a day. Every single day. They haven't done it every day because they fired so much. So in the intercepting, we intercept in and around 90 to 95%. Wow, we're amazing. But that means that 5 to 10% get through. And sadly, that was one like that. You learn the lesson. That kind won't get through again. But you always have to understand at the end it's statistics. And what they meant to do was to inundate us so that the statistics would be in their favor. And our preemptive actions have meant that, yes, they are going to have these kind of successes. And I hate that. But I actually have to call it out. This is not a colossal failure. It's statistics. Let's keep being with our statistics. 90 to 95% of intercepting all the different type of projectiles that are coming in. With Hamas, it's been over 30,000 rockets from October 7th last year. And so our interception is doing okay, and I want to hope that it will continue to do so.
And though Israel has vastly degraded Hezbollah's arsenal as well, as we've seen over the past few days, that they still have a significant number of missiles, rockets, and, as you note, drones as well to target at Israel. Miri Eisen, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Miri. Appreciate it.
Thank
All right,
you
it has
both
been
so much.
375 days of terror.